Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. So, I just realized I didn't say anything about hitting 500 videos, right? So, I don't know if it's 500 live streams. I don't think so. Possibly, but I don't think so. I think it's just 500 videos overall. I think this is going to be like 511 or some odd. And I said nothing. I saw when I hit 500. Well, I saw when I was getting close to 500. Then I saw when I hit 500. I was like, right. So congrats to Z for 500 videos produced. I guess that part. Um, so there's that. I wanted to speak on the Leslie Jones thing. I don't know why I want to say Lisa Leslie, but the Leslie Jones thing. I wanted to continue speaking about this proud black woman lady from that I was speaking about last night, right? Because I checked out a little bit of another video that she produced. It looked like it was a year old though. By the way, she puts on a lot of makeup and those eyebrows. Whoa, whoa. Okay, anyway. Um, but yeah, so one of those. Yeah, black men are making single mothers out of white women. Black men constitute like. And it's funny because like they'll cherry pick a fact or a stat and then expand it way out, and you like, where did you get this from? So let me get this right. Black men constitute about 6% of the US population. White women are somewhere in the 30 some odd percent, 32, 33, 34, something like that, right? And what you're saying is that 6% of black men, by the way, most of which don't never touch the white woman, but 6% of black men are making single mothers out of white women, not the other 30 some odd percent of white men who are not marrying white women. So we know the marriage rate is going down around the country. We know the birth rate is going down around the country also. But it's not the white men who are 30 some odd percent of the US population that is making baby mamas out of making white women into baby mothers. It's black men. Like the reach is insane, right? The reach is insane. Right? So, Miss Proud Black Woman, I mean, once again, this is why y'all stay in your little bubbles, your little hair salon talk, and y'all don't be saying nothing. Wow. Yanni, this is the woman's channel you want to share? Or at least one of her videos you want to share? I guess. Wow. Man, I get just to be a content. I guess all you have to do to be a content creator on their side is talk a bunch of crap about black men, right? And it's very interesting what she tried to do also in the video. And now that I'm referencing it, I guess I have to link it. But she does one of those. If you don't believe me, you could go to any little, I think she said store, Walmart or whatever, and you'll just see a whole bunch of little mixed kids and their white moms. And I'm like, this is what passes for like wisdom and intelligence. And black women hair salon social media. This is the, and like she gets real close to the Cynthia G type language, and no ma'am, no, just yeah, and maybe that's why your channel is so tiny, but nah bro, like this ain't it anyway. And shout out to Toya. I caught just a little bit of Kev, black men being brutally honest. Shout out to Kev. And I caught a little bit of Toya's commentary. Hey, Toya got a little frustrated. Y'all ain't listening. But look, as the world is currently constituted, we understand that the beauty standard is European. We understand that for white women, for women, it's the blonde, blue-eyed, white woman that is the beauty standard. And Lisa Leslie, as a woman, is the furthest from that. Absolutely the furthest from that. It's easy to dunk on her and say, it's your looks. But as the world is currently constituted, it truly is. Lisa Leslie is the furthest away from what the quote-unquote ideal is. as a black woman with West African features, and that doesn't even wouldn't even necessarily fit the most attractive, maybe fit female, West African features, right? So when you see this middle-aged woman speak about essentially men having erectile dysfunction when it comes to her, you're a middle-aged black woman who, as the world is currently constituted, is not seen as like this ideal, look. Like, how do you not understand, right? Like, and it's this, like, it's too on the nose to just, like, do y'all remember Lisa Leslie? I keep on want to say Lisa Leslie. Sorry, Lisa Leslie. Leslie Jones, excuse me, right? Like, her nickname was Big Les. Oh my God. Number one. Number two, y'all remember when those pictures leaked? When a bunch of those celebrities had their pictures leak, and like they were hacked or whatever, however that went, right? And like, what it was, she was one of the victims of this. And you remember she went into a big depression because people were white dudes were flaming her, and it drove her into a deep depression. And I believe it. I don't think she was BSing. I don't think her PR people or whoever were BSing because she had nudes out there. Come on, man. Like, so you think what you think those same type of white dudes, like, she get them back to the hotel, and like they're trying to do their thing, and they're really giving it their all. Like, you have to be a man to understand how much, yes, the diet. By the way, what she was saying, and Toya's correct, wasn't 100% factually inaccurate. Like, what she was saying wasn't factually inaccurate. But even if we got our diet on point and we exercise and we mentally there and we don't got, and it's all, first, let's get into what y'all know Mr. Z had a real issue with. Women have done the work. Oh boy. Okay. I am. Oh boy. Ladies, please. I don't know who y'all are trying to appeal to when you say women have done the work, because, like, dear women under the age, I don't know, of 50, let's say, y'all can keep on saying women have done the work. Women have done the work. No one's gonna force men to be who you want them to be. Oh, God damn, Mr. Z. Look, I don't know who y'all are trying to appeal to with this. Women have done the work. I don't know who you think is gonna pull out their belt and spank us and make us be who the hell you want us to be, which is essentially, like, once again, walking wallets and overglorified guard dogs and the occasional, like, sex toy, right? The occasional vibrator. Yeah, I don't like, who are you attempting to appeal to? You're like, women, essentially what women are saying is, like, it's not fair. Like, we've done the work, and like, men are not who we want them to be. Kick rocks. Right? So, of course, y'all know that, like, you want to know what grinds my gears? Y'all know that grinds Mr. Z's gears. So there's that. But you have to be a man to understand, like, how much, because yes, it starts in the brain, right? It starts in the mind. That's how you're truly aroused. But let's be very clear, like, for men, it's so much physical. So even if this man, had the right diet and all of that, like, Miss Jones, bro, that physical is real for men. It's real. It's real. Like, so I mean, I know women may not want to hear that, but yeah. you know Unfortunately, ladies, like, it's real. And so, for all the women that were probably, talking crap, and not even probably talking crap in the comments for Leslie Jones, and man, look, y'all already know modern women they're not going to miss an opportunity to defecate on men, particularly if a black woman's defecating on men, and it's assumed that she's defecating on black men. Look, modern black women are not going to ever miss an opportunity to stick their finger in black men's eye. They're never going to miss the opportunity. So, and the truth could be staring them in the face, right? Like, we know what world we live in. We know how Leslie Jones looks, and we know what the issue is as men, as black men. And if you want to not be the biggest a-hole in the world, you don't say it. right? Like we pretend like we don't know what the issue is, probably, right? Now, could she be right? And it could be like these dudes have something mentally up there, like that's not the all the cylinders aren't firing. And could it be a health condition? And could it be diet? And could it be all of this stuff? Yes, she could be 100% correct about that. Could it also be what Mr. Z is saying? Absolutely, absolutely, right? Like not stating the obvious is it. Man, look, as the world is currently constituted, Leslie Jones, I don't know, I don't know, right? And like I do believe like that people find people, and like we see who people have sex with. We see who gets married, like who gets partnered, and so we know, you know, but it's just I could definitely see other women making the same argument as Leslie Jones. As a matter of fact, didn't Superhead make a similar argument not too long ago? Maybe like last year or something, earlier this year, last year maybe, right? I might have my time a little off, but didn't Superhead make a similar argument? So like I said, like you could definitely imagine more someone that would be maybe seen or deemed more physically attractive making that same argument, and men might give that a little bit more validity, right? So I definitely I'm not saying that she's wrong per se. I'm saying coming from her and the way the world is currently constituted when it comes to beauty, it's a difficult argument. I'll say that, right? It's a difficult argument. Um, so there's that also. Look, um, we're just an interesting time. So I did listen to BGS video of the table, and like I don't think I needed much explaining, right? Like I've always kind of understood that the table was a figurative negotiation place, um, right? Horse trading, as Obsidian would call it, and I don't know why this needed to be explained, but I guess somebody needed to hear it. So shout out to BGS, but I guess somebody needed to hear it. But I always understood that's what it was. It didn't need to be explained to me, um, and that's for the black men that do want to do some horse trading, and that do want to have that conversation with black women. Um, Mr. Z being one of them, you know. So I didn't, and I understand for the brothers that are anti SYSBM. I mean, not anti SYSBM. Sorry, anti SBE. They definitely have an issue with this conversation about horse trading and whatnot. And I get it. So but yeah, it is what it is on that. But I definitely appreciate BGS for putting out the video. So there's that. Um, Side note, so for those of you that heard the fender bender that happened around me last night, I've been trying to look it up to see if I can find it. I haven't found it. I haven't found anything reported, right? So I looked up the expressway I was on. I put the time, I put the date, nothing. So I don't know, right? So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, right? There's that. But I have it time stamped, and you can actually hear the car make contact with the van, and you can actually hear the tire screeching. So like I time stamped it on last night's video for those of you that want to hear it, because like yeah, it's crazy, right? So there's that. But yeah, I'm literally in the same area, and I don't see any debris or any. Well, it's been literally a whole day, so I wouldn't see any debris. So that happened. Um, what else random did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, still focusing on this lady, and so that's why my title was what it was last night. We have these people engaging in this now, more and more. I think it's 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 a little bit more difficult than it once was to make the arguments of black men being trash with the data that we have now, right? With the history that we have, with just easily accessible information on the internet, like literally at your fingertips, 15, 20, 25, 30 seconds away. And so these people are going to use pop culture to make these arguments, right? They're going to use pop culture to make the argument that black men are trash and black men are horrible men, and that horrible fathers, horrible boyfriends, horrible sex partners, selfish, mean, colorist, all the arguments that they've been making. They're going to use social media. Excuse me. Yeah, well, actually, yes. Use social media to convey these messages using pop culture as reference, right? Using celebrity life as reference, using things that are happening on television as reference, or using other things that are happening on social media as a reference. I see it as cowardly, to be frank with you. I see it as very dangerous, right? Um, yeah, childish, right? All of that, right? Because you're still not grappling with the fact that for decades, black women had white people's microphone, the white man's microphone, pun intended, to spew their nonsense about black men. And once social media democratized the town square, right, and we came up on the era of high-speed internet, it just your your days were numbered, right? It just completely changed the conversation. And black women still don't really know how to respond to that, so that's when you get the Cynthia Geo just abort black male babies. That's all you that's literally the logical conclusion. There was nowhere else to go, right? Abort black male babies, right? Decenter men, like that was always going to be the logical conclusion, right? That was always going to be Chrissy and Yanni and Paris and Cynthia G were always going to be the logical conclusion to high speed internet and readily available stats, facts, history to debunk all of this trash that was coming from, first of all, black female scholars, then filtered down to your everyday black woman with internet access. The logical conclusion to black men being able to give their piece and say say what they needed to say was always going to be a Chrissy. And it happened, quite frankly, in the blink of an eye, in about a decade. We went to Dusty, and they're still calling us Dusty, but we went to Dusty because you're not stable, to what it really is, Dusty because you're not rich. Dusty because you can't make me an upper middle class, a rich and elite white woman. Dusty because you can't put me in the political and social position of the white women that I covet their position once again. Right? So it took us about a decade to get to that point. It took us about a decade to get to Kim Foster just stressing like class. The black community don't respect class, and like just pretty much saying in her own roundabout way, stay in your lane. I'm above you, to working class black men, right? And every once in a while, her peppering in, that she looks down on blue collar black men, like she's above that. She can't respect it, and like I use the car analogy to say like she can't respect someone who doesn't understand why you don't spend 50 some odd $1,000 on an F-150 and you spend it on a 3 Series Beamer, right? Or on a Benz C-Class, right? So yeah, it only took us a decade for Chrissy to just come out and say it. Like, yeah, this is about the power, money, and like the lifestyle. This is about the lifestyle. Screw that stability stuff. That's for the losers down there, right? It took us about a decade. Paris over here, showing off her $2,000 dinner tab. It took us about a decade for us to get there. It took us about a decade for Yanni to just come out and say it. Like, I want to be a kept woman of leisure. Yeah. As I've said before, conspicuous consumption plus dating, marriage, relationships, intimacy, childbearing, and child rearing. Right? And the only reason I haven't posted, I told y'all I was gonna post a definition of conspicuous consumption and whatnot, is the screenshot that I have, it won't fit in the space, right, that they give you. So I'm gonna have to like download one of those apps where you can like, mess with the, come on, man, where you can and look at that. And exactly. But yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. But yeah, so yeah, lost my train of thought for a second. Yeah, so I couldn't fit it into the space, so I'm gonna have to like find one of those resize apps and then and get it on. But I'll do that. But yeah, so that's what these relationships are. For many, for many, that's what these dating situations are for many, right? And that's why, as you can tell, and this is why the conversation that transpired after the Cheesecake Factory debacle and after the 28 things that women, 28 places or 28 events that women are not participating in or will not do, right, for first dates. The conversation that came about, we needed that. Much needed conversation. And what you found is women that engage in this do not care anything about getting to know that man. What it's about for them is the experience that that man will provide. As I said, conspicuous consumption, dating plus marriage plus child rearing plus child, birth, all of that. I love it. Mr. Z, let them talk. Let them talk. And when you let them talk, what they can tell you is, hey, no, not only are you because you may not have any money, you're dusty if you ain't rich. We just moving the bar. Shout out to the nameless protagonist, right? The 1% become the 99%, then the 1% become the 99%, then the 1% become the 99%, and there you go. Right? And there you go. So we're having more and more women just come out and say it. Now, shout out to Kevin C. They're saying it in a roundabout way. First, they're not as blunt with their words, and this is why it's like, and I shouted out Kevin C to say, he called the divester whisperer and whatnot, and it's not just the divester whisperer. It's seeing or hearing the words that women actually use and getting right through all of that and going to the message behind the words, right? The sentiment behind the words, right? It's not even about deciphering the words as much as getting to the message behind the words, right? So when you get to the message behind the words, what you find once again is something that the Black manosphere understands quite deeply, is, to be frank, it's really just envy and jealousy of white women's position. And once again, not all white women, the elite white women, but Black women just say white women, or they just say women, or they just say women of other groups or other races, or these other men don't do this and these other men don't do that, and these, right? Like, once again, and they say this in a vacuum and they have no idea what's going on in the country. How many people do you think know that the birth rate is going down in America? Even amongst Black people. Like, how many people do you think really know that the birth rate for Black America is like around 1.8 or some odd? Right? How many people do you think know that in about 15 or so states they have like damn near negative birth rate right now? right? How many people do you think know that the divorce rate in America is 50 some odd percent? We're not even talking about black people. We're not even talking about black. Of course, black people are included in that, but in America, right? So all these omnipotent, omniscient, right? White dudes, white women are still divorcing them. The Latinos, Latinas are still divorcing them. Even the Asian men, right? Obviously, their divorce rate is a bit lower, but all combined, including obviously black men and black women's marriages, all combined, it's about 50%. And guess what? That divorce rate is going down. Oh, wait for it, because the marriage rate is going down. Uh-oh. How many people know that, right? How many people knew that the homicide rate or some odd was going down all across America for decades? Crime rates were going down. How many people knew that or know that, right? They don't, right? They don't. How many people know that America right now is majority single? I think for millennials and under, I think the country is majority single, but definitely for like millennials and younger, I want to say for millennials and Gen Z. How many people know that? We already talk about the median household income being 74,000 and etc. We know that stuff, but how many people know that, right? They don't know. They don't. That's why, from family members to sometimes associates, friends, right? Like certain co-workers, like when they talk, right? Random people, random conversations you might be privy to, and you're like, what in the hell y'all talking about? Y'all just don't know. And I'm not like a parry. I like I don't have all the information in the world. Obviously not. Not even close. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know, right? But these people walk out here with like all the bravado in the world. And you're like, you don't even know, like, I feel Mr. Z feels like he still don't know the basics. And you look at other people, you're like, you're arrogant as hell and you really don't know nothing. Right? You really don't know nothing, right? And so when you see these content creators on social media and you see how they speak with so much authority, and you're just like, but you don't even know what you're talking about. Which leads me right back to Proud Black Woman. And the video I'm referencing once again is like a year old, but still it's like, wait a minute. So you're saying like 6% of the US population is making hordes of single mothers out of 30 some odd percent of the US population? What the hell are you talking about? Exactly, Trell, and that's why they always point to Chicago. And Trell Bentley says, but Chicago and black Democrat run cities. Exactly. Y'all tell me what the poorest states in the union are. Red. If y'all don't believe me, go fact check me. Ask Better You. Ask Dr. Thunder. Right? Ask AB Media. All of us that's in the politics. Ask BGS, Black Uru. Ask them. Excuse me. Ask them. Jesus Christ, could you get the K out? Right? Right? So whenever those people say stuff, I'll be like, stop. Right? So, but back to the story at hand. So we have these people speaking, and you have Once again, the Yannies. And notice the smartest person to me that's moving the way they moving. It's not Paris. It's Chrissy. It's not Cynthia G before she got her channel snatched. It's not the smartest out of all of them. First, Kim Foster, Mahogany Pink when she was creating content. Chrissy. These are people you know better, right? That's why I make sure to reference them, particularly Chrissy and Kim Foster, but because Mahogany Pink hasn't put out anything in over a year. But these people know better. Once again, Stefko's another one. We can add her on the list, right? And there's something to be said. Toya, I did check out your content when you, your video, your live when you reference Stefko and the pretty girl privilege video. And like I said, the honesty I think she's beating up on herself a little too much with that. Quite frank, and this is me telling her, you were way more honest about this than all of these other content creators, because they were all making it seem like these men were the worst things in the world, and we're all colorists on a Nazi level, and all we wanted some exotical chick or some light skinned racially ambiguous woman, and and you were the most honest to be like, maybe sometimes you just don't have the luck, right? Not the look, but the luck, and maybe also the look, right? Your timing might be off, his timing might be off, but also being honest, right? Being honest, like, hey, I may not be the most hideous person in the world, but I definitely see the difference between when I walk in the bar and when my quote unquote fine or pretty homegirl walks in the bar. These other women see that and experience that and feel that too. But because it's always, Jeromaine's fault. I said Jerome. Jermaine's fault, because it's always Jermaine's fault. They just chalk it off to, because black men and colorism and featurism and texturism and da. Right? So, and I'm tying that to the conversation by saying, I critique these people because I know they know better. Did you hear that, Chrissy? I know you know better. That's why I don't ever insult your intelligence, although you keep on poking at mine. I know you know better, and that's what makes you so dangerous, is because how disingenuous you are. You keep on bragging about your marketing degree, and that's what makes you so dangerous. To be frank with you, because you sell in fantasy, and you sell in fantasy. That's why you said it. Oops. That's why you try to modify how you moving now. With the, I make this content for people, and I'm paraphrasing, for the women that kind of align with me. I'm not making it for everybody. That language changing. You could keep on acting like you're not backtracking. You backtracking. Even Kim Foster, Miss, I ain't going to no protests for Black Man Lives herself. Now saying, that divestment and swirl stuff over there, I don't know what y'all doing, but that's not real revolution. Something, once again, paraphrasing again, that's not real revolution, or that's not whatever she said. Yeah, everybody moving, everybody moonwalking now. The block is hot. Shout out to Lil Wayne. Right? Yeah. Everyone's moonwalking now. How y'all speak, what you've been saying on these interwebs was dangerous. It is dangerous. It's been dangerous. And if you want to say this is a response to Kevin, Kevin is what, approaching 2 million subscribers? Did he hit 2 million yet? You know what? You want to know why they never took his channel down? Because the way you feel hasn't been justified. So, in other words, what Mr. Z is saying, you feel that Kevin and his quote unquote rhetoric was that dangerous. And YouTube disagrees. Toya, he really did say that. Oh, Toya says my block on fire. What about urine? He really said that too. Oh man. Exactly, Irvin. And Irvin Reed says, backtracking smoother than MJ in a concert. Right? They all moonwalking. That Cynthia G thing got them. All them shook. For Kim Foster, I'll say it's a little different. I think the relationship got her thinking a little different. Right? When her attorney probably told her, hey, look, we can't do nothing about Obsidian. He's perfectly in his legal bounds. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, it might be annoying, whatever, but he ain't passed the line yet. He ain't passed the barricade yet, right? But all these other content creators, yeah, what did y'all think? I said it, and now that I know you listen, Chrissy, I said it with the Asia Maynard situation. My video is still up. My pre-record is still on my channel about Asia Maynard. Y'all being too loud. I said it then. I don't recall if I was making content with when Lauren Smith Fields, met her end. I don't recall. I don't think I was making content then. I would have said it then. Maybe where you are, Chrissy, there's this interracial bastion of black women and white dudes and white men. I guess they're holding y'all up, right? Shout out to Corey Holcomb. They're holding y'all up in the air for the world to see. This is my woman. I guess where you are, with it in Indiana or whatever. I guess that's the thing in Indiana. But as a person who has traveled up and down the East Coast of the U.S., yeah, nope. Right? So that's how I know you're selling fantasy. Right? And that's what it is. And Leon is correct about this. And Leon says, we just have to tell the truth. What all this is about, aka class position. And that's why I put out the video. How long ago was that now? About the petite bourgeoisie of the black community. That's why I regularly critique what Kim Foster is saying with this class talk, right? That's why we speak about this. We just have black women that just think they're better than black men simply because they're black men, and because these women have a couple of college degrees and they got a couple of dollars, right? College degrees, middle management positions, $70,000 a year or a little bit more, 70, 80, up to about 150. Well, actually, just keep on going. Keep scaling that up to Ebony K. Williams and above, right? But about 70 plus, $70,000 plus. Shout out to the African brother, the Nigerian brother that said it. Yeah, it's not just Nigerian women. Which is interesting. So Mr. Z is essentially saying, and what the Nigerian brother is saying, and he didn't realize, what you're saying is once women, Nigerian women at least for what he was saying, reach about the income of a household in America, because we know that the median household income in America is 74,000. So once Nigerian women, and I will argue just about any woman in America, pretty much earns as much as a household is earning, they pretty much tell men to F you. And now they're only looking for the elite, or upper middle class men, and that's not a problem. except for the scarcity part. Ooh, goddamn. Yeah, and you see, scarcity mindset, right? See, this is what happened when you do for your daughters and not your sons, and you advocate for your daughters and not your sons for about 2, 3 generations, four. And all of it compounds to a beautiful moment called the 2020s. Oh, all these women with these degrees, and not all of you are making money like that, but fine. All of these women with the degrees, and like Leslie Jones said, they've done the work. And like, y'all remember the white woman that I covered like over a year ago? That was one of the first videos that might even be the first video. That's one of the first videos I ever covered. I mean, not videos I covered. That's one of the first lives I ever did. You remember I covered it with the white woman? We've done the work. Tell the men to do the work. 1 year later, it's actually more than a year. It's almost 2 years, right? Well, maybe not almost 2 years, but it's definitely over a year. 1 year later, Leslie Jones saying the same thing. I don't know who y'all think y'all appealing to. Our dads are old. They can't pull out the belt and spank us. I don't know who the hell y'all appealing to. Tell them men to do the work. What? To kiss your ass? No. Hey, aren't we talking about the same people that like want to be independent and, want to practice negative liberty? Now you think what you're going to socialize the men to do for women writ large, but for you individually romantically? No. Just like you say, and y'all been saying y'all don't owe us and dusties, and why do we always got to do it? What you think it can't go the other way around? I'm not telling you it should be. I'm not even telling you it's right. Y'all already know my phrase. It's not sustainable. But understand something, dear women of the 21st century. You're the one who's letting Yanni run around here talking about decenter men. Well, what about when men say, yeah, two could play that game? Now what? Oh, you see that lady on the side of the road with the flat? Yeah. Huh? Don't we have women complaining now about how? And somebody just posted, compassionate just post on his channel. I think on his community chat, the middle aged or older black woman in the train. She, the trains look like somewhere in the Northeast probably, and she's standing, and all the dudes are sitting down. Well, don't say, dear ladies, don't say nothing about no gentlemen. Don't say anything about, oh, this is wrong and what happened to real men and men's men, and don't say nothing because you didn't read the fine print. Right? FD signifier, lucky I didn't realize what he was saying when he was saying the chivalric code or whatever, however he was pronouncing it. Because if I would have realized what he was saying, then oh hell no, we ain't giving no chivalry, not to these newfangles. Oh no. Right? Oh no, nope. Wait, so they could be rude, mean, condescending, tell us how much they don't need us, stick the middle finger at us, and then we still supposed to be quote unquote gentlemanly and chivalrous? Oh hell no. Shout out to Edward Anderson. Keisha just needed a little coaching. No. Right? So tying that all the way back, I'm not saying this is sustainable. It's not. It's actually not. I'm not saying it's right. It's not. It is what it is, though. This is what you get. This is the logical conclusion to a certain politics that has been allowed to fester in this country for decades, particularly in the black community. Right? And the insulting of black men for decades, and pretty much everybody being okay with it. And like Yvette Carnell said, everyone pretty much being okay with watching their uncles and their nephews and their sons be warehoused in prison because, let's be honest, you think they deserved it. This is where respectability politics comes in. Most of these dudes in prison for non-violent drug offenses. Wait a minute. Why would he be selling drugs? What? Remember, non-violent drug offenses. Huh, because he don't got no goddamn money. And why would he not have any money? Because maybe with NAFTA, y'all allowed his job to be shipped overseas. Maybe, possibly. Uh-oh. Oh, in the 80s, y'all allowed the unions to get crushed. Maybe that could be another issue. Oh, you know what else could be an issue? Y'all allowed for these people to push for H1B visas so that we could, educate all of these South Asians, Indians in tech instead of teaching your sons. Maybe, right? Huh. So tie that all the way back. So when Leslie Jones says, tell the men to do the work, first, we don't owe you that. There's that. Secondly, who said we didn't? Not saying we did, but who said we didn't? Third, once again, this is women playing moral high ground. We've done the work, tell the men to do the work. In other words, tell the men to catch up. Men still earn more than women in America. Black men still earn more than black women in America. And yet, women and black women in particular are still talking, tell men to do the work. I mean, we are literally doing more work than you. Boy, you can't make this up. And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Really can't make this up. Tell men to do the work. We're literally doing more work. Like, that's a fact. We're like really doing more hours. Huh. So there's that. Tying that all the way back. Then you have women like Miss Proud Black Woman, right? Speaking recklessly. You have Yanni reposting videos from her. You have Chrissy trying to moonwalk without her pride won't let her. Wrong word. Her ego won't let her admit that she a little spooked. She a little spooked, right? Her ego won't let her. And I will continue to say this. Chrissy, Mr. Z is a community college dropout. You are the one with the marketing degree. How do I see this and you don't know? You do see it, and you're still selling your subscribers fantasy, not just fantasy, but black men ain't ish, but colorist a-holes content. And they're trying to keep us away from that sweet, sweet, sweet white penis. That's why every time one of these white dudes do something heinous or just say something crazy, or you know black women pick on the wrong white woman, Taylor Swift, they mock and make fun of the wrong white woman, and a bunch of 13-year-olds 13-year-old white girls put that foot in that ass. Then women like you, Chrissy, come out to play damage control. Right? Huh. Tying that all the way back. to Leslie Jones, as I said before, as the world is currently constituted, you know, I don't know, Miss Jones, I don't know, right? And Leslie Jones doesn't have any children, does she? Last time I checked, I don't think she has any children. Has she ever been married either? Does anyone know? Huh? Right. So nope. So I'm guessing nope for marriage and nope for children. And Leslie been in Hollywood for a minute. Well, I mean, right? Ugh. And I think Hollywood for black people is a, I don't know. I think Hollywood. I'm talking about like, you know, for black people's mental sanity and just from where many of us come from, our backgrounds, or working class, working poor. Yeah, I don't really think Hollywood's built. I don't think Hollywood's built for a sane person, to be honest with you. And when I say Hollywood, I'm not only literally speaking about like Hollywood, but I'm talking about like that entire like ecosystem in New York, in Miami, in LA, like all these people that kind of, produce, TV shows and movies and this type of art, quote unquote art. I don't think like, I know black people can perform art. Like I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like the mindset and the people that surround that. Yeah, I don't know. Because I'm thinking about Tiffany Haddish right now, and like, dude, she don't look like she mentally well right now either, right? Yeah. I don't even. Only Logical. I already know them white dudes was ripping her apart. And Only Logical says, search Leslie Jones and 4chan. I know. Because I know Brothers was making fun of her. Of course, they were making their shots. But you gotta know them white guys were just. And that's why I said it earlier. I know, she went into a deep depression when those photos leaked. Because them white dudes, you had white teenagers all the way to white whoever's 40, 30, 40 something year olds, and they were. I know I couldn't even read those jokes. I know they were ripping her apart. I know they were, right. And so if you know that this is how these dudes feel about you, and we're assuming, let me, because we don't know if the guys that she's referencing are primarily black dudes or primarily white dudes. In particular, the guy that she's referencing that she was just in the hotel with, or wherever she was, right where she said where she's looking at the Empire State Building, I think she said. We don't know if that was a white guy or a black guy, so it's a little difficult to you know but oh, GC said what photos? Okay, so GC, you don't know. So how long ago was that, you guys, when all those photos leaked of celebrities and their nudes and all the information out? Didn't even cell phone numbers leak also? I'm not sure. But some years ago, a bunch of like entertainers and quote unquote important people, a bunch of their stuff leaked. I think they were hacked or something happened, and a bunch of their information leaked, and so a bunch of people's nudes leaked, a bunch of celebrity nudes leaked, and Leslie Jones was one of the people, right? And I'm purposely not calling her Big Les, um, but Leslie Jones was one of the people, and man, woo, yeah, it was bad, yeah, right. So, and they were, from my understanding, they were ripping her apart, and she kind of had to like disappear for a while, and like it left her in a bad depression because people look themselves up, and so she looked herself up, and you gotta know people probably were screenshotting and sending her stuff about what people were saying about her pictures, and Yeah, man. I bet. Right. So if you know this is how these people think, right, and then you're talking about like these men in their erection and how they don't know how to fuck and like you know. And Faber says if Gabby Sidibe could, she can. Yeah, but Gabby comes off very feminine. Yeah, that's the thing. She comes off very like, to be honest with you, kind of like likable. That's Gabby comes off feminine, right? Like that's I've seen a couple of interviews with her and whatever. She comes off like likable and feminine and like not so abrasive. And I understand like, Leslie Jones is a comedian and but yeah, like there you go. And Leslie Jones been in Hollywood longer than Gabby Sidibe. Oh, yo, I used to love that damn song. And Indigo Flows said maybe it's. I'm not gonna say you the way. I'm not even gonna try. I am not even going to try. But Indigo Flows says maybe it's you. Rest in peace, Jesse Powell. And man, I used to love that song. Now I gotta hear it, but I used to love that damn song. Hysterical, right? Oh man, that's hysterical. He only had two songs, and that was the like he wasn't yeah, he really was one hit wonder. But it was that song, and it was another joint that I'm thinking of. But it was really that song. It was really that song, right? But that's funny. Oh, that's funny, right? Wow. Yeah. So so and tying that to the facts, and I'm going to start to stress this as I see them try to transition into this, right? Us Instead of dealing with the fact that they've been talking crap for so long and being factually inaccurate, right? Or and y'all see how I do things. I take like when I reviewed Dr. Richard Reeves' interview with Ezra Klein, and I reframed what he was saying, right? So I played what he said and then I reframed it. They don't even do that. They cherry pick something out of context, right? Kim Foster, you want to talk about we taking stuff out of context? Look at these people. Um, and then they just add a bunch of extra to it. So now that we've pretty much debunked all of their crap, and with the YouTube passing of Cynthia G, um, these people are now engaging in just reviewing pop culture stuff to prove a point, right? They are they're attempting to critique celebrities and celebrity relationships, black celebrity relationships, particularly black men and their relationships, to prove a point. And so you are going to see them, in my estimation, try to double down on the talk of what's his name, Darius Jackson and Kiki Palmer, to say, see, black men are abusive, right? They are going to try to use Jeezy and what he said to say, see, black men only want to date us when they're in the dumps, and they only want to be around us when they're in the dumps. Um, Instead of dealing with the fact that black men don't really be and first of all, DV in the black community is largely bidirectional. Before we even get into anything else, right? That's number one. Number two, as I said last night with Miss Proud Black women, black men still earn more than black women. So like, right? And then once again, for the black men that earn $100,000 a year or more, for those men that are married, 83% of them, give or take, are married to black women. Now, even if we take the boomers out, that number will only probably drop into the 70s. So it would still be an overwhelming majority of those men that earn $100,000 a year or more that are married are going to be married to black women. So not only was she wrong about, this whole um black men always are the ones who need help, and why can't we have help, and da da da, like, clearly. And when we say help, not only do black men earn more than black women, we employ more people than black women. More of us are millionaires than black women, right? So like, you know less debt and better credit scores than black women. Like, this is right. So I want us to be mindful of black women in particular using television, and we all engage in this to a certain extent, but using television and social media and celebrity life and gossip as reference points to prove their point, right? That's that's something that we have to stress, right? Is that we will not allow these people to run away from the numbers that say non-black. Yes, black. There are 1/3 of black men are convicted felons. Yes, there are black men that are definitely in bad positions. Absolutely. And on the flip side are black men that are in great positions, that are married to black women and have fully black children. Instead of dealing with that, like I said, you're going to see these people try to use pop culture to duck and dodge and weave and bob and tie themselves into pretzels, to not have to address the fact that black men are not actually these horrible monsters that you paint them out to be. Whether that's because you have a horrible relationship with your ex-husband, baby father, boyfriend, or just because this type of conversation is how you get YouTube clicks and views and money, and actually your life with a black man right now is pretty damn swell, or your life with a non-black man is pretty okay and you're not around black men to really experience any of these things that you're talking about, right? And that's, um who said it? Was it a scholar I was listening to a couple years ago that was saying you have these middle class black women who had none of these type of experiences with black men, but yet they're in colleges and university selling the soap, right? Selling these type of stories, right? And it takes a lesbian black woman to tell y'all let y'all sons get warehouse in the prisons and y'all said nothing. Huh. And y'all are so myopic, y'all still don't understand. Or you do understand and you just still throwing a fit, that your best bet for not just marriage, but because y'all only want to talk the numbers, because y'all don't care about humanity and any of that, your best bet to get to that upper middle class where you can look down on Becky is with a black man by the sheer numbers, right? And the nameless protagonist says, Dr. Tommy Curry broke a lot of that down. Z. Okay, so yeah. So it was Dr. Tommy Curry. It was Dr. Tommy Curry because I knew I was watching something and I was like, who was it that said like it be middle class black women talking this crap and they didn't even live that life. They perpetrated, right? Okay, yeah, so it was Dr. Tommy Curry, right? So, I just wanted to come up, kind of pat myself on the back for 500 videos. Ooh, 500 videos, right? Um, and we might talk about it. I might stream tomorrow afternoon and bring a panel up. So we'll see. I wanted to kind of rehash and go over what we were speaking about last night because I really have an issue with this whole running from the numbers and just using pop culture and celebrity life and celebrity gossip and who's doing what with whose penis as like a way to like not have to deal with the fact that yeah, black women are hurting because black men are hurting and black men are hurting because black women let black men hurt. Yeah, I said it. Should have been advocate. What and I gotta use profanity. What did Cat Williams say? Should have never been talking shit, right? You should have advocated for your men. You should have advocated for your men, right? So yeah, I wanted to rehash that. I wanted to kind of give my little 2 cents and my take on the Leslie Jones thing. I'm not gonna, go in on her looks or anything like that. I just understand that as the world is currently constituted, ah, right. So yeah, and yes, it's not fair because if it was another woman who more men had deemed more physically appealing and attractive, and they made the same argument, they would have been given more grace and leeway, right? And yes, it's not fair. Yes, it's not. Absolutely. I ain't even gonna read it out loud, Charles. I ain't even gonna read it out loud. And shout out to Charles Faulkner Jr., right? So, I definitely want to rehash that and well, actually, bring that up. Also, to tell y'all, Mr. Z has come back down because that was some scary stuff. For those of you that don't know, if you weren't listening last night, Mr. Z missed being in a pretty bad accident by inches. Um, and I timestamped it where you could actually hear the other cars that made contact with each other, and you could hear the hit and you could hear the tire screeching. So I timestamped it on the video from last night. So yeah, um, yeah, it's crazy. So there's that. And the nameless protagonist says that fear. Oh, wait a minute. Comments moving. Comments moving. That fear has now been extended to men in general in the English speaking first world, and governments are blowing the whistle first, right? Because the end result is you just don't get family. Well, Nameless, you already said I'll be OD'ing on the capitalist stuff. You already know where I'm going. But what did we? I actually said this to Hot Sauce one time on the Roger Reports channel, and he actually had to be like, "Ooh, Z, you're kind of right." I was like, "But what y'all thought? You sold conspicuous consumption to your young people, and this is before I even get into like, you know, our issues with black women in general, right? But like, you sold a lifestyle, and you sold it as branding, right? And then all your daughters that will never be able to achieve that lifestyle, well, they don't want to have families. They don't want to build. And like the beauty of social media and on the internet is how many of them are telling us. And this goes to what you say all the time, Nameless, where the 1%, the 99%, well, the 1% becomes the 99%, and the 1% becomes the 99%. Yeah, right. So we sold, or when I say we, I mean that loosely. We sold this to young people, and that's really us. But we sold this to young people, and then we wonder why our daughters don't want to marry our sons and live a quiet middle class life because they telling you stability is not good enough. That was the whole beauty of the Cheesecake Factory skit, right? That's the whole beauty of the places women refuse to go on first dates. The beauty of it is how normal and regular and middle class it was. And they were like, yeah, but the lifestyle and the experience, though, right? That's the beauty of all of that. Neighbors, I'm trying. I'm trying. It was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy because I watched in my rearview mirror. I watched in my rearview mirror the one of the cars spinning and I finally got it right. The sprinter van going into the wall. Like I watched that happen in my rearview mirror, and I barely missed that. So yeah, that part. So yeah, and the nameless protagonist also says they thought that uh, there was just enough in infinite progress. This infinite progress thing. I agree with you, by the way. I'm just saying, like, I'm rubbing my temple because I've said it. Sergeant Pete has said it, right? And I've been saying it. Well, y'all didn't even know who I was, but I've been saying it before I ever heard Sergeant Willie Pete say it. And then when I heard him say it online, I was like, yes. And like infinite growth on a finite planet. How the hell is this supposed to work, right? And you know, you've also heard like more left-leaning economists say this also. But so the nameless protagonist says they thought that there was just enough infinite progress. This idea that men could infinitely level up, exactly. Plus, men are willing to date down to add up assets, exactly. Women just don't. And I think they thought they could socialize that into the women also. And BGS is 100% correct when he says that, right? BGS is just what he's 100% correct when he says like y'all thought y'all could like socialize this thing that more and more it's seeming like it's biological because it's biological, right? Right? Like, first, this is why numbers are important. 40% of women earn more than their male counterparts in the US. And they ain't trying to get married. Or they are trying to get married to a man that earns more than them, significantly more than them. Yeah. About that equality thing, though, right? How's this supposed to work? You know what's really interesting? Watching the West and America in particular run into the wall of like, oh well, you know, the men are so insecure when women earn more than them, and you know they feel like it's a challenge to their masculinity and et cetera, et cetera. And then we let the women talk. Then we put the microphone in front of your daughter's face. Oh yeah, I'm anti-patriarchy and right. Then why are you still single? Well, you know, I can't find any men on my level, and I have a college degree, and I need a man with a college degree, and right? Or they just come out and straight up say what Yanni said: "I want to be a kept woman of leisure," and you gotta love it because she straight up said like, "What's the point? I have this money. I'm doing okay. I can keep myself. I can make me a kept woman. I need a man that's gonna elevate me even higher." She literally said it that right. You can't make this. It's beautiful. I love it. I love it. Right. Because when you see stuff like that, you just gotta go back. You almost want to get into a time machine and like bring all of those scholars from the '90s up to now and be like, okay, now explain this. All you feminists and you theorists and you all you people that I'm telling you, so we're gonna elevate the women and then now we'll have true equality and they'll still for the heterosexual women, then they'll still marry the men and 30, 40, 50 years later, right? And Charles says, when you're 6 feet, black woman with dark skin, he would think he would try to be the most feminine. Oh, I think you think she would think you would think she would try to be the most feminine. I get what you're saying, but yet you quadruple down on being insufferable, loud, and obnoxious, and you wonder why. Yeah, 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 yep, yep. Good point. See, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you know, a couple of videos ago, I did say, "Damn your hypergamy women." I did say something like that, and the nameless protagonist says, Hypergamy brought humanity to where it is today, but there is such a thing as diminishing returns. And he continues by saying, when men have to compete with women for the same jobs, I literally just said this a few videos ago, and I had Toya back me up, like literally, like how the hell this supposed to work? Um, and Nameless continues, when men have to compete with women for the same jobs in the open market, especially entry level work, bruh. Yeah, yeah. They don't know how to fix this, Nameless. And the Nameless protagonist says, the infinite growth idea is an issue with Western capitalist rhetoric. Bro, they really don't. And T. Taylor says, Z, keep them women busy while I run out the back door with the passport. Uh, bro, Charles, exactly. And Charles says, you literally told women marriage is slavery, and you wonder why they don't want to get married, bruh. Like it. I'm just saying. I can't even add to that, right? And here's the kicker, y'all. While and this should be very concerning for Black people, particularly single Black people. While elite white folks still get married and literally hoard all the way. They already got the money. They're getting married and, more importantly, staying married. So your upper middle class and above white folks are turning their gap into a chasm because they're the ones getting married and staying married. And because they're having fewer children, they're passing that wealth on to their children who end up getting married to people in their same class. And guess what happens to that wealth? Meanwhile, you are not getting married, right? And all those resources are just scattered to the wind. The little bit of resources you do have. And by the way, so because those well off people have that money, they're drowning all the rest of us. The only way for you to keep your nose above water, for the most part, for most of us, right, unless you earn that much money, is to couple up with someone else. And y'all can keep each other afloat, right, with your nose barely above the waterline. But because most of us are single, guess what? You're just going to drown, right? And it's not going to be a literal death. I mean, like, not for most of us at least, but it is going to be a social, economic, and political death. You will still exist. You'll still be alive. It's just your votes will be ineffectual. Well, wait a minute. I think we can experience it now, right? And you will be relegated. In my estimation, and somebody correct me if y'all think different, I think you move to a borderline feudalistic society, right? Like in capitalist in everything, like capitalist in name, but essentially functionally a feudal society, modern feudalism, right? And the nameless protagonist says, rich white families are stunting on the average white family using the very point you just said, Z, and have been doing it since the planter class era in the South, Bacon's Rebellion, 1865. Exactly. Right? And Charles says, it's not just about people being single, it's about people not being trained to live with one another. I agree with this. It's a quagmire, Jesus Christ. It's a quagmire into itself. True. Why would you under the threat of divorce even attempt it? Yeah, yeah. I I don't think so. Before you and Nameless got in, Charles, I was saying I don't think people don't know the basic facts that we spew about in the Black Manosphere for fun. The basic numbers and facts and all the stuff that we say like it's nothing, right? And I know for the like that's why I think many of us like we're seen because I know for it's the case for me. Like you're seen as like the smarty art friend because like the things and I remember me, Nameless and Rogish had this conversation a couple years ago. You're seen as the smarty art friend, and you'd be like, but it's not even that deep, right? Like what I said isn't even that, and trust me, it's not that serious. And I'm tying that to what you just said, Charles, by saying like because the average person doesn't even understand these basics to even make an informed decision, right? So they're just like floating about, right? Exactly. It's very shallow. Exactly. Exactly. Right? They're just floating about. Exactly, Pensive. And Pensive says firing employees when you just had revenue growth. Bruh, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Right? And what's the beautiful, like, I'm glad that everybody's now speaking about the Powell memo. Y'all ask Charles and Mr. Z been speaking about and Nameless. I've been speaking about the Powell memo for years in the Black Manosphere. I'm glad that everybody's speaking about the Powell memo now. And everybody heard what that goddamn Australian business owner said a couple months ago. Well, yeah, it's about a couple months now, right? Um, where he was like, pretty much, yeah, we need to see pain. We need to see. First of all, it's not like it wouldn't be sustainable. But he was like, we need to see 50% unemployment and all this other stuff. And he essentially was saying we need to remind these people to stay in their goddamn lane and in their place. And remember, by the way, that's the same guy that was talking about millennials and what do you call it, avocado toast, and that's why we don't have no goddamn houses. Whatever. But yeah, so I'm tying that to all of this by saying, yeah, this I'm glad that we're in the conversation now about like trickle down economics, and shout out to AB Media who calls it P on me economics. Trickle down economics was BS. It actually did affect your family formations and your coupling with your should be spouse. Um, the Powell memo was literally what Pascal Robert calls it, which is essentially the 50-year counter-revolutionary movement that the elites decided to wage on all of us. Um, I'm glad that we're having that conversation, right? Because as we try to piece this thing back together between men and women, particularly for us, black men and black women, we also need to have a conversation about how the economic landscape isn't exactly conducive, right? For family formation also. Before we even get into the character flaw talking and how we're socialized and blah blah blah, we also got to talk about how the economic environment is like really good for the elites and like it's pretty much pricing us out the game anyway, right? I, I nameless. I'm telling you, and the nameless protagonist said, "Oh yeah, they are conspiring to put the fear of God back into the post C-19 job market because we were flexing on them, right? Y'all forgot like what COVID-19, that's 2020, 2020, early 2022, right? McDonald's over here talking about $15 an hour and stuff, $13 an hour walking in the door. Oh yeah, they want all that back, right? We over here talking about essential workers, and they giving y'all a little ego stroke and a little pat on the head, right, for working through COVID and contracting the virus, maybe. Oh yeah, they want all that back. Well, that too, Pensive. And Pensive says catching the PPP scammers is part of it. That too, right? So yeah. Oh, it's a good yeah. All of that, right? So on that note, you guys. So now that we did this, so now I really got to bring a panel up tomorrow. So tomorrow afternoon, y'all check out from 2:35 ish, 45 ish, somewhere between 2:30 and 3 o'clock. I'll start the stream ish, probably most likely. Um, and we'll do that. So yeah, um, yeah. So we'll pause right here for now. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Um, exactly, Detroit. They want that back. Hey, isn't that what George Carlin said? They want it back, all of it. Uh, exactly, Charles. You tomorrow when I do the stream, if you have the chance, come up because I'm not following that story too tough, right? I'm not. Apparently, she's in trouble and she's what she's ah. Mr. Z, I'm getting tongue tied like a mug. I don't know what's going on with me. But she's excuse me facing jail time, right? So yeah, yep. That's crazy. And Chelsea called me to remind me. Okay, I will. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, a lot of people are getting caught up in that, right? A lot of people. It's not just your cousin who used to dope deal and now he was PPP scamming. No, there's a lot of big wigs that got caught up in that also. By the way, down here, in South Florida, we had a bunch of correctional officers that got caught up big time in that, big time, right? And the nameless protagonist is the top 10% got the stimulus checks everybody spent, and they used it to buy more assets. Exactly, compounding the problem. Yep, yep, yep. Exactly. So on that note, everybody, we will pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all have a great rest of y'all night. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. For any of you women that listen to these weirdo ass other women, right? Other Black women who's trying to hide from the facts and the numbers and the data, with weirdo like reality TV show stuff and social media crap and critiquing what a celebrity Black man is doing with his penis. Stop it. Right? And on that note, y'all have a great rest of y'all night. All right, Mr. Z out.